Okay, take a look at what we have going on here. This is a big problem, the showstopper. So this is the reed block. So this is where the gases and the air come in through the carburetor into the crankcase, and once they get in there, when this closes, they can't go back out to the carburetor. And what happened was, remember I said that we had the broken the broken reed valve that went down into the bearing, and then the bearing caused it to lean out, and that took out the cylinder, and okay, well, all that happened. But the real problem, or the problem I have with this reed block on further inspection, take this bolt out, and I see there's a little bit of rust starting to form on here, so I have to clean that out before I put it back together. Take this off. And under here, get this to focus, you can see it's burnt. Okay, from the back blowing, quite focus. It's focusing on the tailgate instead of the problem here. So I don't know, you can see it up here. It's all melted. Man, I just can't get that to focus. There we go. It's all melted from the heat coming back through there. And of course that was interfering with the way that it was running in the end. There, that's even better focus. In the end, that it couldn't breathe anymore. So it was the more that this thing ran, and we were trying to force it to the last stop, the more this kind of thing was happening. So the showstopper there is, well, I can't put that together with those parts. Well, that's a good thing about the internet. You can put the part number in, and if anybody in the whole world has this part on the internet, eBay specifically, you can get the parts. And it seems like there's a guy in California that went around and he bought up all these old parts from the dealers that had them in inventory, and here we go, brand new one of these, never been used. So that replaces this part, and of course I had the broken reed valves, which I had concern about. Over here, again, brand new. I think I saw a date on here somewhere. Do I see a date? 1970 something. I'd seen on packaging or something I'd taken apart, but regardless, I'm back in business, and so now with the internet, you know, this type of stuff becomes easier to fix as long as the stuff still exists somewhere, and they post it on the internet that they have these parts for sale. You can get it now easier than you could have done 15 years ago, before the internet times. Okay, well, I'm going to start some assembly here, and I'll give you an update a little bit later. Okay, working on the boat motor here, replacing the bearings. So let me show you what I'm up to here. So I'm just going to take off this last, I've already replaced 3 sets of bearings in the connecting rod. So I'm going to take off the last cap screw here. And there's a nut there. Come on. Did you not fall out of there? I guess it stayed down there yet. Okay, fine, you can stay on there. So what I'm going to do is just going to push this up here. Push this bolt back. Can with one hand. One of these bolts has to go back. Just maybe a little tap here might be in order. It's tricky to do it one-handed. So starting to get it to separate here. I don't know if you can see, you can rotate the crank so it's up here. There we go. And you can see that. Get a screwdriver in here and just pop the rest of the way apart. Now watch what's going to happen here. Look at this falling out, all these little bearings. So each one of these had 32 of these bearings that had to be replaced. So there's a cap. So now there's 32 of these little bearings under here. So those aren't a lot of fun to put in one at a time. So what I've been doing here is just compare them to the new ones there. I measured them up and I found, so here's an old one, there's a new one. I mean, you'd think they'd be identical, but what wears with these is they wear in lengthwise because they do control the rod side play, okay? They don't wear in diameter, and they tell you not to mix them. If you lose one, don't mix in an old one. But fortunately for me, they give me an extra like 10 of these. So I counted them all out. I needed 120 28 since there's 16 in each, or 32 in each cap. So they gave me more than I needed. I didn't lose any anyway. But anyway, I'm going to go finish putting these back together. Once I'm done the rods, I'll have to do the main. So you can see under here, you can actually see them in here. There's ones to be replaced, and I've got in original factory packaging, I've got other envelopes with more bearings in them. So imagine the 56 will be the center main bearing, and then the 116 will be these ones. So I'll take those reed valve blocks apart. This is one I already had apart. I showed you where I replaced it. I put it together with the old bearings, not realizing that I had new bearings. Silly me. But then, of course, take it apart again. And I've got new bearings to put on the ends of the crank. And then I'll be getting to see in the block. So stay tuned. Okay, what do we got here? We got the crankshaft with all the needle bearings installed. So I think you can see them in there. Needle bearings. I think I showed you the center main one before. You can see them in there. So every wrist pin, you can't see them in here, every wrist pin has a bearing. So just kind of review. So the center main had 56. The caps, so the rods, all had 128 and 116 for the connecting rods small ends. So now the next job here, let's see if we can do this here. I'm going to pick this up. It goes into the block from the bottom. I can't show you very well because it's handed pretty heavy. So there's no cylinder heads to come off. Oh, that should be like that. So I've got to get, we use 3-inch gear clamps as ring compressors so I can get them all started in. Every one of these rings has a pin that has to rest on, so I have to be in a specific spot. So once I get that in, then I can put my bearing end cap bosses on. I get the new bearings on the crankshaft here too. So then the new bosses will go on, assuming that it's going to take the same size shim. And then we're ready for final assembly. So I think some of the tough stuff's done already. Okay, I managed to get together. So the end caps are both on. Here's the reed valve caps. There's the main bearing in the center. These are also block bearings along with the reed valves. So it's together. You can actually turn the crank here if you want. Actually, doohickeys of the thingamabobs go up and down in the cylinders. Okay, so there we go. And I think you can see the piston coming down. There's the rings doing their job. So yeah, it's coming together now. So update a little later.